Hello, Savannah. Thank you for tuning in. I'm starting you guys off with a bang here on a Wednesday afternoon. Thank you for bearing with me here after the happiness hour. That song was by LCD Sound System. Daft Punk is playing at my house. Hope you're awake and welcome to my show, Real Estate Real Talk, on February 21st, 2018. It's 2018, the end of February already. I can't believe it. And it's warm outside. Seems like yesterday we had snow. Now, you are listening to WRUULP, Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings, community radio with global soul. Now, before I get started, I just want to let you all know that the viewpoints expressed in the following program are not necessarily those of WRUU, its license holder, or its staff. Now, my show is about real estate. I am a local real estate investor. That's what I do for full-time, for a living. And that's what the show is all about. I live here in Savannah. I invest all over the country. And in today's show, I want to talk about tax sale foreclosures. Woo! In any case, that seems to be the topic everybody always asks me about. How do you do tax sale foreclosures? What is it about? And there's so many misconceptions and so many questions about tax sale foreclosure investing. So I wanted to make a show about that, and I was hoping to bring some people in that had a little bit more or different experience than me. So I'm going to do that in the next couple shows, kind of thinking about doing like a series on tax sale foreclosure investing here for you. But before we get into that, I've actually brought with me a couple of videos that I've recorded on YouTube. I'm a prolific YouTuber, by the way, so if you ever want to check out my videos, feel free. There's all kinds of really cool information, and my goal is for me to educate you on anything and everything that I learn on the tax sale foreclosure investing, real estate investing, and real estate in general. So this particular video, I think it is actually my most viewed video. I'm looking at the views as of today, at least this morning. It was a little bit over 36,000. It's a very short video, 3 minutes, 20 seconds long, but I'm only going to play you a little part of it, and then we're going to talk about it. So let me see if I can pull it up here for you. It actually is entitled, if you wanted to look it up yourself, it's entitled Tax Lien Foreclosure Property I Bought for Only 1.5K, no joke. And I'm actually sitting in front of that property. It's here in Savannah. I won't give any addresses or anything. There's people living there right now. But I want to just go ahead and share that with you. So let's see. Here it goes. M. Spencer, real estate advisor, investor, and enthusiast. And we are parked here in front of this house right here. I don't want to get out because I really don't want to bother the inhabitants right now. Somebody's living there. But this is one of the houses that I purchased a few months ago at a tax lien foreclosure. Tax lien foreclosures are a subject that I go into very big details into in my educational recordings on my website at www.juliamspencer.com. So a little bit background about this house. This house, per the tax record as of April 2015, is listed as being worth $59,000. It's about $40,000 for the structure and about $20,000 for the piece of land that it sits on. It's about a quarter acre. It's a decent sized house. I don't exactly know the layout inside because I've never been there, and that's kind of like what you get into when you buy tax lien foreclosures. You can't really go inside and check them out and see what's going on in there. But right now this house is sitting in the legal process of a year where I can't really do anything to it. I can't touch it. I can't kick the inhabitants out, and I can't collect rent or anything like that. I'm just kind of waiting to see if they pay me back or not. If the owner should choose to pay me back the money that I paid for the sheriff's deed that I got, they would have to pay me what I have paid plus 20%. If the waiting period goes even just one day over 1 year, they would have to pay me 30%. So either way, I'm either going to get my money back or I'm going to get the house, which is worth $60,000. It looks, as you can see, it looks like it needs some repair. There's some trash in the front. Basically, in general, it looks like it's not been kept up very well. which leads me to think basically that the people don't have money to fix it, don't have money to pay their taxes, don't have money probably to pay for the insurance. So there's going to be some repairs to be done, and it's going to be a fixer-upper. But I'm going to tell you why I bought this house. For this house right here, I paid $1,400. That's it. That's all you need to get started in real estate investing. $1,400, and this house is worth $59,000. This might not be very pretty yet. I probably wouldn't live in it the way it is. But if you look in the rest of the street, it's a cul-de-sac almost. There's a couple of really brand new houses down the street over there. So this is a good buy for me, and I'm really excited to see what's going to happen with this one. And that was a little excerpt of my video here on this house that I bought here in Savannah, Georgia for $1,400. It's one of my most viewed videos here on YouTube. And I wanted to talk a little bit about this video because this video not only got a lot of views, it also got a lot of comments, which is kind of cool. And this is also what I'm looking for when I do post these YouTube videos. But the very last comment that I got, and it's actually the one at the top, I'm just going to go ahead and read it to you, and then we're going to talk about it. It was by a person whose name shall remain unnamed on this radio show because it starts with a bad word. And I can't say that here on the radio, but you can look it up yourself if you want to. In any case, all you people with dollar signs in your eyes, you'd better be able to afford to tie your money up for quite a while. And you'd better have additional money on reserve to pay an attorney to form the foreclosure if it gets to that point, which it seldom does. And you'd better have additional money for the eviction process, which is not going to be pleasant and can drag out for a long period until the occupants completely trash the house on the way out. The way this lady is presenting it isn't the least bit accurate. She wants you to buy her book. So that was the comment that was left. I think it was left yesterday or the day before yesterday. I can't remember. So I already responded to it here on YouTube, but I want to talk about it because the guy that left it, assuming it's a guy, actually raises a couple of good points, so we can actually talk about them objectively here on the show. And first off, I strongly believe that the person probably got burned by some bad investments, some bad tax sale foreclosure investments, and I sympathize with that, if I can say that, because that's exactly what happened to me when I first started. I got into it, I bought a bunch of crap, and it turned out I lost a lot of money, which was really, really bad. And if you're going to get into tax sale foreclosure investing, unless you have some really awesome, strong mentors backing you with all kinds of knowledge, and you've read all the books, and you've listened to all the videos, and you've done all the educational products out there, you're probably going to get burnt. I'm just going to warn you, if that's something you want to get into, have a little bit of reserve money, because you're probably going to lose it to start with. But I want to talk about some of these points because I want to make sure that we kind of neutralize what this person is saying, but also bring in some real facts, whether this is even true, that you actually, and some of the things that he talks about is, well, the first thing is he thinks I'm just trying to sell my books, and the second thing is there's a long redemption period, so your money will be tied up for a long time. He talks about legal expenses, talks about mortgages, talks about money that needs to be kept aside for taxes, and all of these things actually do make sense, so I want to talk about each one of those in turn. So, but before we get to that, let me play you a little bit of a break song so I can get my notes together on everything. And as always, dear Savannah listeners, thank you for tuning in. I do play a lot of my own songs here, and usually it's whatever I'm playing in my car whenever I do whatever I do. So I share with you the songs that I play the most. So this one is actually quite fitting. We're going to clean up this commenter's Heavy Dirty Soul, and this song is Heavy Dirty Soul by 21 Pilots. Hello, Savannah. Welcome back to Real Estate Real Talk with Julia M. Spencer. And today we're talking about tax sale foreclosures, clearing up some of the myths of tax sale foreclosure investing. And that song that you just heard was by 21 Pilots, Heavy Dirty Soul. So we're going to clear up your heavy dirty soul with the actual facts here on tax sale foreclosure investing and not just some myths. So here is the first thing that this person mentioned. I actually just played a video on my YouTube where somebody commented that the information I gave was kind of wrong, and clearing up some of the stuff here. So first off, he complains that I'm just trying to sell books. Well, I do sell books online. I do have them there. But it does cost money to produce them, so what I charge covers my production costs, so it's kind of irrelevant to the argument. But the first thing that he actually does mention that is relevant to the argument is the long redemption period. In fact, he states that you better be able to, you're going to have to tie up your money for quite a while, and if you get into tax or foreclosure investing. So here we're talking about, what he's talking about is redemption periods. Now, redemption periods do sometimes are quite lengthy. In some states, up to 3 years. In fact, I'm going to talk a little bit, hopefully if I have time, about the state of Arizona, where I'm going to buy some tax liens here this week with another investor. And their redemption period is indeed 3 years, which is quite a long time. Here in Georgia, here in Savannah, actually, our redemption period is only a year, which is not really that bad and not very long. Our neighbor state here, South Carolina, is about 2 years. And Florida, we have also a 2-year redemption period. However, Florida is kind of like a really weird mixed state where you can purchase liens and deeds as well in the same state. The lien sales usually happen once a year. The deed sales are monthly, and they're conducted by different taxing authorities. So you can check into that, and I have information about that as well. But the point is, yeah, there's some redemption period, but the point with any kind of endeavor that you do, whether it be a business endeavor or an investment endeavor, you're going to have to invest some time. And you're not going to be able to just put a little bit of money and get a lot of money out all at once. It just doesn't work that way. You invest, and you invest more, and you invest more, and eventually your investments will pay off. That's kind of a little bit more realistic way to look at how to run your business. So even with tax or foreclosure investing, the point to buy real estate and to make money with real estate is you should have bought it yesterday. You really should have bought it 10 years ago or 50 years ago, but we can't go back, so now is the time to start. So that's what I always say. Yeah, you have a redemption period, but a year goes by pretty quick. You're doing other times in that time. You're not wasting your time just sitting around and waiting for that redemption period to be up. That doesn't work. And also, there's a lot of ways to shorten that redemption period. So you can always talk to the owners, the original owners that maybe just wanted to get rid of the property, and see if they'll sign you a quitclaim deed. Here is where your negotiation skills come into play, which is actually a big factor in anything that you do with real estate investing. Negotiation is a big one. And you can buy aged certificates, believe it or not. So here's a little bit of a tidbit. I went to, or I am going to buy some tax lien certificates in the state of Arizona here this week. And my investor friends, my trusted investor friends actually recommended that I should buy aged certificates, foreclose on them immediately, and make the money right away and not have to wait for 3 years. So my question to them was, how do I find out which ones are aged and which ones are not? Well, the answer was, you can look that up at the Treasury office or a treasurer's office there. I am specifically talking of Mojave County in Arizona, where I'm doing this right now. And the tax sale is actually done, I believe, this week. So you sit at night, you turn on your favorite movie, in my case, Back to the Future. All Back to the Future fans here, I think I've seen the movie a million times. So I have one screen with Back to the Future, one screen with property cards for Mojave County, one screen with the actual list, one screen with the treasurer's office, and one screen with whatever else I'm doing at the time, probably like paying bills or something. So multitasking, as many screens as you can get, and you just weed through them until you find some that maybe have been delinquent for several years, and then you can start foreclosing on them immediately after you purchase them at the auction. So buying age certificates significantly reduces your redemption period. Now, another thing that you can do to reduce your redemption period is to buy other people's tax sale foreclosures through assignment. And that basically means somebody else bought them a long time ago. Redemption period's way past. They're still sitting on them, haven't done anything with them, haven't borrowed redemption rights, haven't gone the legal work, haven't gone anywhere or done anything with them. And they just want to get rid of them for the 20%. So you just pay them the 20% plus whatever they paid, and you got yourself taxable foreclosure property you can foreclose on immediately, and there is no long waiting periods. And of course, the last option is to buy deeds instead of liens. Now, the deeds, whole nother story. There is no redemption period. You get the property right away. And there is actually a redemption period, but it's not one that you have to wait for. Usually the county or the city kind of seizes the property from the original owner that didn't pay taxes, and they hold it in this redemption period for however many years until they actually bring it to the deed sale. At which point everything is final and done. When you as an investor walk in and buy it there, it's yours free and clear. So there, I have refuted the redemption period complaint of this particular commenter to this YouTube video. And the next thing that we're going to talk about is let's see. I think the first thing I'm going to do is do some housekeeping here, because we are at the bottom of the hour already. I can't believe how fast the time goes when I'm here. Let's do that. And then we're going to play a little bit of a song. And the next thing we're going to talk about legal expenses, which is another thing that you do need to worry about if you invest in tax sale foreclosures. So, let's see if we can get started here.
WRUU brings you the most diverse and passionate local radio programming on the air in Savannah. This all-volunteer and nonprofit community radio station accepts no money from any form of government. Our diversity and independence is made possible only through the generous financial support of listeners like you. We rely on your annual and ongoing monthly contributions to cover the many costs associated with bringing you our broadcast and web programming. If you are a contributor, thank you. If you are not yet a contributor, please show your appreciation of the role WRUU plays in your life by becoming a contributor in any amount. You can donate quickly and easily by credit card or check. Just find the donate and subscribe links at wruu.org. Thanks for listening to and supporting WRUU.
Hospice Savannah needs teen and adult volunteers ages 16 years and older who can donate 2 to 4 hours a week. There is a free training program and an application to complete. To find out about the next training session or for an application, www.hospicesavannah.org or 912-355-2289.
Hello, Savannah. Thank you for tuning in to Real Estate Real Talk with Julia M. Spencer. We are talking about tax sale foreclosures today, and specifically clearing up some of the myths about tax sale foreclosure investing. And for that purpose, I've brought in some YouTube videos that I've recorded previously with some information. But one of them that I played had actually a comment on there where somebody gave me some of the actually main points of why people are very skeptical about that type of investing, about getting properties for really, really cheap, and some of the things that they're basically pointed out, which are true. And with this show, I want to clear these questions up a little bit for you so that you may know whether this is maybe something you want to get into, or maybe if you want to stay far, far away from it, which is totally acceptable, obviously. But the next thing I want to talk about is legal expenses. This commenter to my video actually said that you better have additional money on reserve to pay an attorney to perform the foreclosure if it gets to that point, which it seldom does. So let's talk about legal costs. Now, legal expenses, Yeah, you're going to have some. But the beauty of it is we have 50 states in the United States here, and every state operates differently, which is very, very cool because you kind of can maneuver around the legal expenses thing altogether if you're really smart about it. Now let's talk about some of the examples here, some of the states where I have tax sale foreclosures, I bought tax sale foreclosures. and where I have experienced having to pay legal expenses. And then we're going to talk a little bit about how much I actually paid, whether that even matters. So let's talk about South Carolina first. South Carolina being our neighbor to the north here, I have some tax sale foreclosures I bought just last December in Jasper County, which is just adjacent there to the border, Ridgeland, South Carolina. I bought 2 lots, both of them together for under $1,000. They were over the counter, so I didn't have to go to an auction or anything. Just kind of walked in, got the list, checked out the list, drove around, looked at the places, and bought them. Now, in South Carolina, our redemption period is 2 years. However, I'm sorry, it's actually not 2 years. I believe it's 1 year. So after that time is up, they have a county attorney that works at the courthouse there, and if no payment is made to redeem those properties after the redemption period, or within the redemption period rather, they will give the property to the purchaser of those properties, and they will do that with the county attorney. They're just going to sign the deed over to you, so there's no additional legal expenses for you whatsoever, unless you choose to subsequently go and do what is called a quiet title action, and that pretty much removes any flaws of the title. You can get title insurance and all these things, because as with a lot of things that you do with tax sale foreclosure investing, you might have a difficulty getting a mortgage on properties because the title was not obtained in the normal regular warranty deed type way. So quiet title action can cost anywhere from $2,000 to $6,000. I have met and seen and talked to other investors who have what's called discount attorneys. These are attorneys they use frequently, so they give them reduced prices on these types of legal actions, and they do them very often, so for them it doesn't cost very much. So yeah, you have to think of some legal expenses that you have to set aside, but hey, if you purchase a property for $1,400 and it's worth $60,000, $70,000, I don't mind paying $2,000 to an attorney. I'm not sure you would, but I definitely would. So let's talk about Georgia now. Now, in Georgia, and for Georgia, I've actually brought you a little video here, a little clip we're going to play. But in the state of Georgia, redemption period is 1 year, not ear. And after that year, you have the right as the purchaser of the tax sale foreclosure to do something that's called barring redemption rights. And that's a legal action. You hire an attorney to do this for you. They're basically go through all this legal process to do the title search, try to find the owners, notify the owners, tell them, hey, there's a tax lien against this property. You want to pay it off. If you don't pay it off within blah, blah, blah time, you're going to lose your property. And it takes about 6 weeks or so. Anyway, I'm going to talk about all that in this little clip. But, and I'm also going to tell you a little bit about how much that costs. So before I talk any further, because I talk a lot here, I'm going to see if I can just pull up that video really quickly for you. And we're just going to play that very, very short clip here. Here it goes. The answer to that question is, how much does it cost to bar a previous owner's redemption rights when you buy a tax sale foreclosure? It just depends what kind of attorney you have. The cheapest one that I've had, I paid about $650, and the most expensive one was close to $1,000. So if you're paying anything over $1,000, you're probably overpaying, but it also depends on the expenses. So there's going to be like a base fee of $100 just to get, about $500 just to get the attorney, and then they usually charge you for their expenses, which is the sheriff's cost to serve the notices to individual owners. Of course, if there's more than one heir or owner or person found in the title search, there's going to be more expenses. So I've never really had to pay more than $1,000 per property, and paid as little as $650. Now, if you pay less, you probably get an attorney that maybe isn't as attentive as they should be. Sometimes they kind of like put you on the back burner, let you speak to their assistants, and you can't really ask them questions. And then if you pay a little bit more, you get a little bit more personal service where you can email them and they'll answer your questions, or they'll call you, or you can call them and they're available, and they're really honestly glad to have your business. So, you shouldn't really never pay more than $1,000 per property. And the whole process takes about, I'd say maybe about 6 weeks. It takes at least 4 weeks to advertise in the newspaper, but sometimes it takes about 6 weeks. So you can just basically count with 6 weeks turnaround for about $1,000, and you got a good estimate. And so let me just show you where I am. Oops. And that was my video on some information about the cost of borrowing redemption rights here in the state of Georgia, and also how long it takes. That video on YouTube, Cost of Borrowing Redemption Rights of Tax Foreclosures, is on my YouTube channel, Julia M. Spencer. Free to watch if you're interested. There's a little bit more to it. I'm actually at the Kennedy Space Center, and there's a cool background. Anyways, so talking about legal costs with tax sale foreclosure investing, you do have to think that you need to maybe set some money aside for legal costs and things like that, but it's not really extraordinary compared to how much money you're actually getting when you purchase a property like that, and then you subsequently sell it at market price. You just have a lot of leverage. So you can afford to pay for an attorney, you can afford to pay a realtor to sell it for, you can afford somebody to fix it up even, because you're still going to make profit. And this is what makes this whole thing so beautiful in any case. But a lot of people now, what they ask me about, and I'm going to get to this actually now because I got this question again today. I get it a lot, so I'm going to address it here on the radio show. A lot of people are like, well, you go to the tax foreclosure and you buy a property for $1,400. What if there's a mortgage on it? Am I responsible to pay for the mortgage? I'm not. I don't want a house with a mortgage on it. Well, yeah, that's a very qualified concern, but this is not something you should concern yourself with. And that being because in legal terms, and by the way, I'm not an attorney, I'm telling you this from my own experience because I've been doing this for a really long time. Verify everything I say always with an attorney, an accountant, a financial advisor, somebody that has the actual certificates and the education behind it. My education is I have an MBA and I've been doing this for a long time. So just my little personal disclaimer here in the middle of the show. But you are not responsible for the mortgage. Isn't that cool? Well, here's a little bit of information about that. Now, first off, the properties that go to tax sale foreclosures are usually not mortgage properties. And usually, there's always an exception to that rule. And specifically here in the state of Georgia, there is a requirement by mortgage companies to set up an escrow account. Escrow accounts are there for people that have the mortgage to basically, what you're paying is for interest and principal, but then you also have to pay every month a portion of the taxes for that year, as well as insurance and sometimes even HOA fees and condo fees or whatever. But all of that money, that extra money, taxes, insurance, condo, and HOA fees is put in an escrow account. And that is then what the mortgage companies use to pay your taxes for you and your insurance for you. And they do that very deliberately because they understand that any tax lien is senior to their mortgage. And I'm translating that now. What that means when it comes to a tax sale foreclosure auction, they very well are at risk to lose their lien on that property. They can still make a civil claim against the owner to get that mortgage money back, but if the property is sold at a tax lien or tax deed foreclosure auction, the mortgage goes away. You're not responsible for it as the investor. And so they know that, so they set up an escrow account to make sure that they're always first in line. Anybody that's senior is paid off, so they're first in line. So, but a lot of the tax sale foreclosures that I've bought, in fact, most all of them, do not have mortgages. So it's not something I concern myself with. Even if there is mortgage, I'm not responsible for it, so I don't care. But as you know, I do this tax sale foreclosure investing in most all states, or I know about how to do it in most all states. I do it in many of them. The thing is that laws are different in every state, and let me just give you two examples. There are two states, New Mexico and Arizona, where in New Mexico specifically, the mortgage does ride and is on the same level as tax liens. So if you bought a tax sale foreclosure in New Mexico, you'll also be responsible for the mortgage. So in Arizona, same thing. There might be a land lien by the state of Arizona on a piece of land, which is what I'm working to learn right now, because I'm doing that right now. And you might be responsible for that land lien. So the most important point that I'm trying to make with this is you need to get educated about where it is that you're investing, how the laws are, how the rules are. Talk to an attorney, talk to other investors, make sure you talk to me. You can always email me, realestate@juliamspencer.com, and I'll definitely will get back with you within a couple of days or so. So, having talked about legal expenses that we might be responsible for when we invest in tax sale foreclosures, and also whether or not we're responsible for mortgages, let's see, we have about 10 more minutes here before I sign out and talk. Actually, I want to talk a little bit about evictions and stuff too. But before your eyelids fall shut, let me play you a song to break it up a little bit and wake you up. And this song is actually called Eyelids by Sarah. And thanks for tuning into Real Estate Real Talk with Julia M. Spencer. We're talking about tax sale foreclosures and clearing up some of the myths surrounding that type of investment strategy. So here's my last point I want to make, because we're almost at the top of the hour and I want to play one last song, as I always do. Let's talk about evictions. A lot of people have asked me in the past, what happens to the people that actually live in the house? Are you taking their house away, kicking them out? What the hell? Don't do that, Julia. Bad thing. So what I'm telling these people then, in my 15 years, I've been doing real estate investing, of course, much longer than 15 years, but 15 years tax sale foreclosure investing, not a single time did I ever have to evict anybody out of a tax sale foreclosure house I have bought. And that's a tax sale foreclosure house I have bought. Now, I have evicted people out of my own properties that I have acquired through regular means before. So I do know the process. I do know that a lot of time is given to these people to make their payments current on rent or whatever, or remedy whatever it is that the landlord is upset about that they're doing. And it is a fair process. So it's not unfair to the tenant at all. They have plenty of time. They have an opportunity to go to court to defend themselves. And it just doesn't happen that way. Most of the houses that are tax sale foreclosures have been vacant, have been left, have been in disrepair for many years, or for some other reason are just not in proper shape to be lived in anyways. At least that's the ones that I buy. And the other times people are glad to just pay it off and have no problems with it. Now, the ones that I've purchased that had tenants in them, usually the original owners were very glad that I was cooperating and helping them getting their properties back. So there was never any issue with them, anything bad going on, any fights or anything like that. I've just never experienced that. So if I haven't experienced it in 15 years, then it's not something you should really worry about in terms of eviction. And you probably won't ever have to evict anybody. If you do have to do that, it's a fair process for everyone. So don't concern yourself with that if you want to get into this type of investing. So again, refuting that statement, that myth that you're throwing people out of their homes if you purchase their homes with this show, hopefully. And that is my goal. And my goal is to make you a smarter investor and to advocate, not really to advocate actually tax sale foreclosure investing, but kind of give you the information so you can make up your own mind on whether it is something you want to maybe check out or stay far away from, depending on what you want to do. Again, before I sign out here, because it was almost 1 o'clock here, I can't believe it. I want to stay longer. So the viewpoints expressed in the preceding program were not necessarily those of WREU, its license holder, or its staff. And my name is Julia M. Spencer. You can reach me by emailing me at realestate@juliamspencer.com. My show here, Real Estate Real Talk, is on Wednesdays at noon, actually a couple minutes after noon, after the happiness message. And I also will be hosting 2 radio shows this week, tomorrow from 9 to 10 p.m. and Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. And we'll do a lot less talking and a lot more music there. If you heard the music on this show, tune in again because it will be different. It's always different. And I believe the next show that's on here at 1 o'clock will be the Jazz Brunch, hosted by Dave Lake. Send me comments, questions, suggestions, or if you want me to make another show about a topic, feel free to suggest that topic to me. I'll finish my show with this song by Youngblood, which sadly reflects our times these days if you listen to the lyrics. Thank you, Savannah listeners, for tuning in. I hope you have an awesome, fabulous rest of your Wednesday and week. And I hope you can tune in again next week, Wednesday at noon, and tomorrow at 9 p.m. and Friday at 4 p.m. for my music shows. Now you are listening to WRUULP, Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings Community Radio with Global Soul, and here's Anarchist by Youngblood.
For your free guide to real estate investing, visit juliamspencer.com.